Hello, everyone. It's me, Alex. Let me go ahead. I'm still adjusting some things here. There we go. I think that'll work. Um, I'm live streaming right now on YouTube. Let me first welcome you to tonight's talk. I'll try not to be too long today because people got to get up and go to work in the morning and all that good stuff. First off, let me say that I want to thank everyone who, if you were aware or not aware, I want to thank everyone who supported my family and I in the passing of my mother. She passed away on the 12th of August and in Anderson, Indiana, and we funeralized her last week. And so I want to thank everyone who had my family and I in your prayers and your phone calls. I'm getting tons of cards and folks checking up on us. And so I just want to thank everyone for that. Special shout out to my cousin, Sean in, his name is Mashawn, but I call him Sean. Sean in Marion. I've got a video out on my channel here of him demonstrating his emulator setup at his house. You gotta go check it out. It's pretty cool, actually. Might have to have him on here, but he does FaceTime. He doesn't do uh, Zoom calls, but I'm trying to get him into 21st century along with the emulator. So, um, as always, like, share, comment, subscribe on this channel, my other channel on my Squealer's Delight channel. Got a smoker that should be here any day now, and I'll do another presentation on that once it's here. As always, go check out the Code Black webpage on Facebook, and they've got another webpage as well. And while I'm giving shout outs here, let me pull this up real quick because I want you all to see this. Let me go here. So I already went onto their Facebook page, but I'm gonna give them another shout out here. I don't have that big of a Facebook following or a YouTube following, but I'm giving these people some props. Marion, Indiana, went there twice actually. Obie's Smokehouse, not Obie's Smokehouse, Obie's Barbecue. They actually have a web page. Go check these people out. They're in Marion, so they're local. Awesome people. They fed my family and I on the Thursday after the funeral. The church was closed down, and I want to thank St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church for opening the doors of their church for the homegoing service of my mother, Margie. And I also want to thank the people at Needham, the funeral home that helped us. Jason, guy's awesome, actually. And everybody was just so helpful for us, and so to us. And so I just want to thank everybody. Special shout out to my family, my aunts, Aunt Ruth, Aunt Cheryl, Aunt Faye, Sean, Aunt Dolly, everybody that just kind of made everything so much easier on me, and my brother, and so and my family. And then obviously a special shout out to the people here in Omaha that were looking out for my family while I was away. So, but Obie's Barbecue, they have some really awesome food there. And I said I was gonna shout them out as much as I possibly could. So you got to check this out. They have some really cool stuff there, and it's great ambiance. I put this large post out there. They got greens with brisket. Oh my gosh, stuff's to die for. Sausage, burnt ends, pulled pork. They have garbage nachos, basically. It's called the Obi something or other. I didn't get them. Sean had them, so the Obi, where to go? It's huge. I might put some photos out there. Obi chose, and so it's a giant plate of just barbecue stuff on nachos. It's like pulled pork and brisket and a bunch of other stuff with pickles, and I mean it's piled up high. And so excuse me, I didn't get the ribs, but everything there was so wonderful. The people there are wonderful. So go here, check them out, give them some props. And yeah, if you're ever around Marion, Indiana, go check them out. It's a small little place, but they got some good food over there. Now, excuse me, what was I going to talk about tonight? As always, I've got my Facebook page up and I'm waiting on, oh, there he is. Oh, he's got to put kids to bed. Okay, no problem. All right, so shout out to Big Mike. Today I'm going to talk about dirty reads. What are dirty reads? Well, first off, I have to correct the record for something that I said in a previous video, the one I did with Mike. He asked me let me open up that query. And I'm in SSMS. He asked me what this in your table. Here's a great example of this. You know what? I'm not even sharing my screen here. My goodness, y'all. I am so out of tune here. Okay. Let me try that again. Okay. All right. So here's what this means. Over here, let me try this again. And I wasn't sharing that screen over here. Let me go back real quick to the Obi's Barbecue. I just want to give them some props. Obi's Barbecue. Hide video panel, go away. Obi's Barbecue. There it is, right here. Yeah. Go check these people out. Oh, they've actually got a photo gallery over here. So this is some of their smoked meat, and here's their prices and stuff. I think these are the catering prices here. This might be an old website because that looks like they have a Facebook page that has a website on there too. There it is. Like I said, because I wasn't sharing before, go check these people out. I know I'm a little behind here. So Jeff and Michelle, wonderful people. I talked to Jeff, cool cat. He came in, took care of our family personally, basically. And the two servers that were there, we had the same server both days. We were so impressed. Wednesday, we went back in on Thursday and I fed the family there. So here's their page here. And so go check them out. Like I said, wonderful place, wonderful food. And I'll probably put a few pictures up a little later. But yeah, go check them out here. They've got an email, phone, everything else. They've got a Facebook page, and then they've got an Instagram as well. So go check them out. Wonderful people. Okay, now back to the dirty read stuff. Okay, so here's our table of products here. Mike wants to get these 2 rows of data here. So he writes a query to grab these 2 rows of data out of the table. Bam. And he supplies this data to a client who's paying for a report of products. So this is the important part. I, on the other hand, am going to write a query to update these this row here, to make them all use. Now, what happens is when Mike uses the NOLOCK indicator in his query, he gets a copy of the rows that he's looking for in his query at the time that the data is in the table, and it's not committed to the table. So if you have an open transaction, so let's say I come over here and I write a transaction to update this row of data, right? This column of data. And he writes a query that uses the NOLOCK keyword. Then what's going to happen is he's going to get all of that data in his rows of data without my changes. So it's kind of like looking at a recorded TV show. In the middle of the TV show, that hasn't finalized itself. That's a bad example. It's kind of like, here it is. It's kind of like watching a videotaped show or recorded show, telling everybody, hey, I recorded this really awesome show. I know it's an hour long, and you get your family together and everything else. You get everybody, they're all geeked to watch it. You start hitting play, you get halfway through the show, and all of a sudden, the show cuts to something totally different. You're like, what the heck is going on? That's kind of the scenario here, where Mike's report would be messed up because he's looking for data that is now outdated. That's what the NOLOCK keyword allows you to do. It speeds up your query because it's not looking at possible rows of data that are being updated at the time that you run your query. So so what it does when you do that, it creates what's called a dirty read. Okay, you're able to read the data, but it's may or may not be accurate depending on what's going on. So as an example, I've got this really easy query right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Chinook database here real quick. Bam, right there. And actually, there is a web page that I have over here that I'm going to look at here. And this is the one I'm looking at. And I've got this in the, what I'll do is I'll post this in the description of the video. And so it talks about dirty read concurrency problems in the SQL Server. And when you look here, there's a table, products, and it's got, 3 rows of data in it. And so you have 2 transactions. The first transaction is the one I'm going to write, and it is going to update the quantity to 5. It's going to update a billing customer. It's going to do some other stuff. The second one is going to read the quantity as 5. Okay, so let's go over here. We've got our first transaction, but first we're going to create our table. So let me just run that real quick. 5. So we've got our table, and let's just double check to make sure we've got our table, and we've got 3 rows of data in our table. Now, to simulate what happens when you read the when you do a dirty read, what we're going to do is we're going to copy these 2 lines of query here. We're going to open another instance of SQL Server Management Studio. And so on this one, this is Alex. This is me. The other one is that pesky Mike. He's doing his whole, Hot Wing McGee thing. And so he's, and doing some updates and doing some looking into things here. So I'm gonna go over to Chinook here. And this one is Mike's query. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, make sure I got the right one selected here. I'm going to set this transaction isolation level read uncommitted, and I'm going to try to read the uncommitted data. Before I do that though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a transaction here, and I'm going to put a delay on there. So think of it this way. When I open this transaction and I put the delay on there, it's going to lock down the table. Nobody else can do anything until I'm done working on it. Okay. And so what that's going to do, and actually all I got to do is this right here. And I'll put this at 30 seconds here. Oh, come on. Keyboard wants to start acting up again. We'll make it for 3 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to do an update in there, and I'm going to wait for 3 minutes. I'm going to crack this off here. So this begin transaction, I'm actually updating it, but I'm delaying my commit message here. So now let's go over to Mike's. And actually, instead of using this line, what we're going to do is I'm going to try and do the select here. And you see that because of the way that this commit is working over here, I'm still running this query is still running long. It's still running very long. Neither query is done. If I stop this query, this one should complete over here. If I roll that back, there we go. So now I've got, this information here. And since I rolled back the transaction, there were no changes to the table. Okay, now what happens if Mike decides he's going to put the NOLOCK on there? Okay, watch what happens now. If I execute this here and I put the NOLOCK over there, it comes back right away, right? But this update is still running over here. Mike is working off of data that is not quite accurate, okay? So let's say I get rid of the delay and I just do the begin transaction and the update. And now if I say execute again, Mike is still working off of old data. If I come over here, you see that it starts to clock. It starts to delay on me until I come over here and I run a commit on it, or a rollback. You see that it's changed back to 10. So let's say Mike is running report and his report is looking for all the quantities for that ID. Or let's actually, instead of using that one, let's use a different table here. And I'll show you how kind of important this is. I'm going to go to this Stack Overflow table. Use go. All right. So instead of doing the products, I'm going to get one that's running really, really, really long here. Oh, wrong way. Tables. I need something with a bunch of rows in it. They all have a bunch of rows in it. Okay, users. So let's say I want to do select star from users. Let's get a count of rows in the table. and there are 299,000 rows of data in that table. Okay. And let's just do a quick Alt F1 to see what's in that table. And let's do a quick ID. There should only be one in there. Okay. Yep, there should only be one in there. Yep. Okay. So let's look in comments, and I think posts actually. Let's do a quick look into the posts table and see what columns are in there. There should be an ID in there. Yep. Let's see if it's the user's ID. Yep. Okay. I grab that and I grab ID number 22. Where? 22. He only has one in there. And actually, let's do this. Let's do a, let me maximize this for right now. Let's do a select count of ID from posts. And let's see, ID, comma, count of star from posts as post count, group by ID, order by ID descending, ascending. Yeah, let's run that. Only one post per. That doesn't sound right. It seems off. Oh, let's do comments instead of there. Comments. Count star there. Okay, that's going to be a longer query here because that table has a ton of rows in it. You see IDs in there. If I stop this query, let me see, select count star comments. There should be a lot of data in there. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot in there. Group by ID from comments. Select count star. Group by count ID. And comment count from comments. Group by ID. Where ID equals 22. You only did one in there. Oh, where ID equals 1. 1. None. Okay. Star 2. trying to get a good select top 10 from comments. 2000 order by. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of them in there, but it doesn't seem to have anybody that's duplicating in there. Maybe that's just the post's ID. Oh, there's user ID. There we go. Count of user ID, where user ID is 3. 123. Okay. Let me mark this here. User ID equals 3 and comment count equals 123. Okay. So let's say Mike was trying to get this data. Select star from comments where user ID equals 3. That's not going to work. Okay. So he wanted to see, let's say he is a security analyst for Stack Overflow, and he wants to know, he's getting complaints about user ID number 3. So what he's got to do is he's got to go through all of the posts that user ID number 3 has gotten, right? So let's say this is his query and he's getting this ready to give to somebody, some boss somewhere or something like that over a Stack Overflow. And instead of it being this one, this is going to be the Stack Overflow. Okay. Okay. Now, in the meantime, yours truly is going to do an update on that person, because I've got a ticket to go out and basically flag all of these people's, all of this person's posts and give them 0 scores on all of their stuff, right? So instead of me doing that, I'm going to do update comments, set score equals 0, where user ID equals 3. Okay. And then in true fashion, what I usually do is something like this, if I just want to see how it's going to look before I get to, into it. Okay. So I've gotten this information here. Now, mind you, I have no idea that Mike is about to run this query on his own. Okay. So pretty soon here, we're getting ready to step on each other's toes here. Okay. So what happens is I run my query, my update query, and it starts running. Okay. And let's say I see it, I run my select statement. It's gonna be similar to what Mike's got going on over here. I run this, boom. I can see my score is now updated to 0. Okay. I take this information, I copy it, I put it into a report. And let's say, let me delete this column here. I'm in this sheet here, rename, and I'm going to say updated score. Okay. And I send that off to a user somewhere as part of some kind of remediation process or something like that. And then I go to lunch. Let's say I forget to commit my transaction. Usually you're not going to do that. but let's say I do in this instance. Here comes Mike. Mike comes over, some other person who didn't talk to me and didn't talk to the person giving me my marching orders, tells Mike, you know what, Alex went to lunch. I really need this report. I need you to give me this report on this person, Mike, real quick. Mike's like, okay, what's their user ID? Got the user ID. Okay, well, let's run this here and let's see what we got. Oh, it's running really slow. Well, let me stop this then. I'll just put a NOLOCK on there because the server's running slow, you know, and the database is running slow. So bam, I've got my stuff over here. All my scores seem to be updated. Yeah, okay, no problem. Copy that. This is Mike's report. Hopefully I spelled his last name right. Ooh. I'll just call it Mike's report. Rename Mike's report. And he does the same thing I do. Comes over here, he pastes stuff in there, gives it to the person. He goes to lunch too, right? Bam. This shows all the scores are updated. Okay. In the meantime, I'm at lunch. I get a phone call. Hey, Alex, we did our remediation. We talked to the user. We don't need their scores to be updated. Go ahead and, undo what you did. Well, it's a good thing I didn't commit that transaction then. I come back from lunch, highlight that code, hit F5, roll back my transaction. Now, Mike's report is no longer accurate. And the reason why it's no longer accurate, because I rolled back all of this stuff here. And so now if he ran this report, it'll have this one here. Roll back. His report is going to have all of the current scores in there. And what will happen is if I come over here and I run the same report he got going on here, copy that. I come over here, paste it in there. This one shows scores. So now you have two different people who both Mike and I have given reports to, and they're working off of two completely different sets of data. That is the danger of using this NOLOCK keyword here. It will speed up your query, but what happens is, and I'm guilty of this because I use this all the time. But what happens is, even though it speeds up the query, any row of data that's not committed to the table is going to get into his report. He's going to be working off of old data. Okay. So you fast forward, we get to this big giant meeting. You got executive over here that doesn't like this table, and they've got some kind of a office politic thing going on. You got this person over here. This person over here is the person that told Mike to give him this report. This person over here is the person that told me to give the report. Neither me or Mike are in the meeting. What happens is these two people start coming at each other. And what happens is this person who gave me the instruction says, well, Alex did this and da 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 da. This person wanting to say, this happens, y'all. If I'm lying, Mike, tell me I'm lying. I've had it happen to me. This happens. This person over here, and these people don't understand this process. That's what me and Mike are there for. This person over here, wanting to save face, says, well, the data I got from the person who I asked to run the report was wrong. It's their fault. It happens. It's happened to me before. So you have to be very careful when you're using the NOLOCK on your queries, because if you have multiple people hitting the same table and making changes to that table on a regular basis, odds are you're going to get data that's not correct, especially if you're reporting off that data. So what you need to do to cover your butt is you need to get it in writing from somebody. So to protect Mike, and this is what he would probably have done, over here, this person over here that tells him to write this report, he's not going to write that report without having it in writing. Hey, I'm going to give you this report. It's going to be fast. It's going to be quick and dirty. It may not be accurate. That covers him. Okay. In the meantime, my report is going to be the more accurate one, not because I know any better than Mike or anything like that, but because of the way I'm approaching the report. This is what happens when you're sharing connections to the same database. So in the grand scheme of things, in the long run, be careful using the NOLOCK keyword in your queries. You see me use it all the time because I'm the only one hitting this table and I'm the only one hitting these databases. If there were multiple connections to a database, there were multiple people using databases, you have to be very, very careful. You could utilize a view, stored procedure, other things that would help you speed up your query. Maybe you need to, instead of using a join on a query or an inner or an outer join, maybe you should use an inner join. Maybe you should use some kind of a subquery instead of a join, which is going to work like a join anyway. There are ways around using the NOLOCK. Don't use it as a crutch. So I wanted to get that out there to let everyone know. I only told half the story in the previous video, and I want to be clear. As I learn, I correct myself, and I'm very transparent with that. So if you have any questions, like I said, I will post the site that I read into this. I watched a really good video on Pluralsight about this as well. And actually not just on Pluralsight, it was on YouTube actually. Let me see, what was that lady's name? Her name was, where's she at? She was very, very, there she is. Kendra Little, latest genius. Check her out too. She has videos on YouTube, and the one that I watched here was about dirty reads. Where'd it go? Not that one. Videos. Is it this one? I can't remember. But go check her out. She explains SQL in very, very common terms and makes it very easy for you to understand. So I appreciate, look, I wish I had stumbled across her a long time ago. So check her out too. Anyway, that's the end of this particular video. Hopefully this helps you. Hopefully you learned something new. I know I did. And like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, check it out, do all that good stuff. And God bless you. Again, thank everyone for your prayers and calls and comments and all that good stuff. And so this is the end of the video. Peace. And I'm getting ready to be like Mike and send kids.